Greetings, everybody. How are you doing? Can you hear me okay? Please let me know. If you have any questions, if you like to ask them, please type them in the commentary box, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. So let me know if you can hear me okay. How are you, everybody from far and near? Are you practicing any Dhamma? All you have to do is be mindful. Then you are practicing Dhamma right away. You don't have to be in the temple. You can practice anywhere. Just start with mindfulness. Just keep being mindful, and then you will be practicing already. Mindfulness is very important. Before you can meditate successfully, you have to have mindfulness first. So either keep reciting a mantra, Bhutto, Bhutto, or keep watching your body activity, your body movement, every movement of your body, from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep. Okay, from Emily R. Shelton, I can hear you fine, Ajahn. From Nirosha, Namaskar, Ajahn, we can hear you well. From Kenny Hunt, good evening, Tanajan, I hear you clearly. Kenny Hunt, or Kenneth from Switzerland. Hi, how are you, Kenneth? Please let me know where you're from so I can get a picture of the attendees. How many nationalities or how many countries we are joining together today. From Suchart, good morning, Ajahn. Good evening from London. Wishing Ajahn good health and well-being. Sound is clear. From Matt Gruson. Dear Ajahn, would it be alright to move away from someone who often get mad? Thank you so much, Ajahn. It's not a sin to get away and be alone, except if you have commitment or responsibility that you have toward them, then you must somehow fulfill or terminate your commitment first. Otherwise, it's okay to be alone. You're not hurting anybody from being alone. From Savika Vorata from Chicago, Sadhu, Sadhu. From Max Drusen, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. From Satyaku, by listening to Ajahn's Dhamma instruction and following them each day, have a very valuable approach to my meditation, and also uplift my faith, confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Eternally grateful to Ajahn. You are welcome. I'm happy to be of help in any way I can, as far as practicing the Dhamma is concerned. From Emily R. Shelton. Hi, Emily, from Washington, D.C., Ajahn. Thank you for all your wise words. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Today I heard that Zoom network has some problem. People cannot get into Zoom sometimes. So I avoid using Zoom this time and use this method instead. I find people like this method also because they feel they are private They don't have to show their face and sit there and let other people see them all the time. So I switched to different methods to accommodate the preference of which one of you. I also choose a different time to be on live because we are all living in a different time zone. So if I stay with just one time, then only just one group of people can join. But if I switch to different time zone, then other people from other countries can join in. Suchart, dear Ajahn, can you please explain the 5 hindrances, Nivarana, as they can be obstacles to entering deep appreciation states, jhana, and how can they be overcome? Thank you, Ajahn. The 5 hindrances. 1. Doubt in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. 2. Kama chanda, means sensual desire. 3. Anger. 4. Drowsiness or sleepiness, sloth or torpor. 5. Anger. 4. Anger. I already mentioned anger. 4. Sloth or torpor. And 5th, restlessness or agitation, mental agitation or restlessness. Well, the first hindrance concerning doubt in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. If you want to get rid of this hindrance, you have to study the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha to get to know them well, know the life of the Buddha and his noble disciple, and know about his teaching and the result that you can get from his teaching, their teachings. Once you get to know more about the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, then your doubts will gradually disappear. The second hindrance of sensual desire, kama chanta, you need to stay away from the sensual objects, such as taking the 8 precepts, and also if you can go to stay in a remote place, far away from the sensual objects. And also you have to maintain mindfulness to prevent your mind from thinking about the sensual objects. So this is more or less what you need to do. Keep the 8 precepts, stay in a quiet environment where there are no sensual objects to distract your mind, and keep maintaining mindfulness. The third hindrance of anger, you have to develop metta or loving kindness. Loving kindness means you have to let go of your grudges, not take any revenge. You have to be able to forgive someone if they make you angry. So this is what you should try to do. Forgive. Just think of it as a bad experience or a dream that came and gone. There's no need to dwell on that person or their action, because it's already gone. You can also try to use mindfulness as a mantra to calm your anger. The fourth hindrance of sloth or torpor, of sleepiness, this you can achieve by eating less, like keeping the 8 precepts. And if you can go practice in some place where it's a little bit scary, like in the forest or in the cemetery, then you can get rid of your sloth or torpor. And the fifth one, restlessness and agitation, you can get rid of them by reciting the mantra, Bhutto, Bhutto. Keep developing mindfulness. When you have mindfulness, you can calm your mind and stop it from being restlessness or agitated. Or if you like, you can contemplate on death. When you think of death, your mind might calm down. From Naomi Jonas, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. From Kenny Hunt, Tanajan, can it be helpful to know something about a previous life? A few years ago, I met Luang Por Plin, who told me I previously lived in Thailand. I'm not sure what to make of that information. If you don't know, just leave it alone. Sometimes it can be a help, sometimes it can be a hindrance. It depends on how you react to this information. Sometimes it might enforce your faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha and also on your karma. If you know you were what you were in your previous life and what you did and causing you to be what you are now, then you can use that information to improve yourself. If you know that you are continuously going through the cycle of birth, of rebirth, birth, aging, sickness, and death, then it might be good because then you want to stop it by practicing the teaching of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. From Jonathan Wiley, good afternoon, Ajahn, Sadhu, Sadhu. From Nirosha, dear Ajahn, why does the mind need to seek inspiration from outside the mind most of the time? When will it start rely on its own goodness? That's because we don't have enough goodness in ourselves yet. We don't have happiness, contentment in ourselves. So we need to seek inspiration from those who have the happiness and contentment, like the Buddha and his noble disciples. We will be able to rely on our own goodness when we have attained to the level of Sotapanna, or at least to the level of jhana, of samadhi. But definitely if you become a Sotapanna, you will no longer need to rely on other people, even the Buddha or his noble disciple, because you know the way to practice properly and you have achieved part of the result. So you are fully confident that you can practice on your own if you have to. But it would be still good to have a teacher to guide you further, because there are problems ahead that you might not anticipate or know how to deal with it. With a teacher, you can seek for their advice. But if you have no teacher, you eventually will overcome the problem, because you know the method of dealing. You know where the problem starts. They all start from your cravings. So you just have to get rid of your cravings, and then your problem will be solved. Such a cool apologies, a typo. I meant deep absorption state, not appreciation state. Okay. So to answer Nirosha's question, you have to keep practicing. The more you practice, the more you will become reliable to yourself. The Buddha says, Attahi Attano Nato. You are your own refuge. You have to build up this Attahi Attano Nato by keep practicing the triple practices of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Eventually, you will know how to take care of yourself. Once you see the light of Dhamma, see the Four Noble Truths appearing in your mind. From Gleb Aldrich, good morning Ajahn. It's 5 a.m. in Melbourne. Good morning to you. It's 2 a.m. here in Thailand. I just happened to get up early, but I'll go back to sleep after this meeting. I thought I'll spend about 1 hour answering questions, and then when that's finished, I still have about 2 hours more to take to sleep. So this is an interlude from my sleep. From Naomi Jonas, Ajahn, although I can sit through some pain, my mindfulness always eventually wavers, and I need to change position. Do you always need fourth jhana before being able to sit through pain? Or if you persist, can the mind drop into calm while sitting through pain even if we haven't attained fourth jhana yet? Yes, even if you haven't attained the fourth jhana, if you keep teaching your mind to let go of your desire to get up, tell your mind that you have to face this reality. Don't try to run away from it. It's part of your life. It's like the weather. You cannot force the weather to go away. You just have to learn to live with the weather, whether it's snowing, whether it's raining, or whether it's hot or cold. You have no choice but to face it. Don't run away from it. Don't have any desire to get rid of it. You can teach yourself like this. Then you might be able to persist in your sitting and facing the painful feeling. Or you can try to use, I used to compare it to sound that I hear. The sound I hear coming to the ears, and then it enters the mind. The painful feeling comes through the body, and it also enters the mind. Once it enters the mind, they become mental phenomena. There is no difference between the sound you hear and the painful feeling that you feel with the mind. And I found that with the sound, sometimes if I listen to the sound I like, no matter how loud the sound might be, I can take it. But when I hear a sound that I don't like, even if it's very soft, it can cause me dukkha. So I realize it's how I react to them. Namely, if I like the sound, no matter how loud, I can endure it because I like it. If I don't like the sound, then I try to reject it. By trying to reject it, it's causing dukkha in my mind. What we cannot endure is not the painful feeling, but the dukkha that arises from our rejection of the painful feeling. So By comparing the sound and the painful feeling, eventually my mind stopped resisting, stopped desiring for the painful feeling to get away. Then the mind becomes equanimity, has equanimity, and I can just remain sitting with the pain without feeling any dukkha. From Nirosha, thank you very much, Venerable. I am very grateful for this teaching, and I often reflect on the good fortune. Yes, you need to study the Dhamma teaching continuously, especially when you're feeling discouraged. You need the support of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. By study the teaching of the different teachers, or read about their stories. Ajahn Mahabua wrote a book called Patipata. He went to talk with several enlightened teachers on the way how they practice, and how they become enlightened. By reading the stories and how the way they deal with their hindrances, you can become inspired and energized. From Lily Siswanto, good morning Ajahn, Wandami, greetings from Los Angeles. It must be a morning in Los Angeles, 2 o'clock here, 12 o'clock, about noon in Los Angeles, if I'm correct. Lily Siswanto, I am asking for a friend. Well, Nirosha can be your friend. Naomi can be your friend if you like. I know them both. They're quite sincere. They're quite earnest in their practice. You can maybe talk to them. Sometimes when you need someone, you can maybe have a Dhamma friend to help you. Naomi Jonas, thank you Ajahn. From Lily Siswanto, I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly. You say, I am asking for a friend. Okay, here's more from Lily Siswanto. My friend's focal point is between the eyebrow, above the nose bridge. Is this okay? Mine is on top of nose tip. I don't quite understand your question about your friend's focal point being between the eyebrows above the nose bridge. Is this okay? Mine is on top of nose tip. I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Your second question, sometime out of the blue, when he sees or on the phone with someone, he sees you on the phone with someone, he wants to scold that person. When he sees on the phone with someone, he wants to scold that person because he's angry and he could not control his anger. That's why. If you have mindfulness, you can control your anger. When you start to be angry, then you use mindfulness to stop it. Such a cool, dear Ajahn, over this difficult COVID period, we have friends that have lost loved ones. Can Ajahn please advise how does one go through the separation and grieving process skillfully? Thank you, Ajahn. Well, the Buddha teaches us to constantly reminding ourselves that once we are being born, we are subjected to aging, sickness, and death and separation. We cannot avoid aging, sickness, death, and separation. So we have to learn to accept them as part of our existence, part of our life process. And we should not feel sad because the body is not us. The one who uses the body doesn't die with the body. They are spiritual beings, just like us. We are spiritual beings attached to a physical body. And one day we have to be separated from this physical body. So this is something we have to learn to see that we are not the body, we are the spiritual beings attached to the body, called the knowing element or the mind. We use the body to do things with. So when a body dies, no one really dies, because the spiritual being that uses the body doesn't die with the body. The spiritual being whom we call father, mother, sister, or brother, husband or wife, doesn't die with their body. Their body dies, but they don't die. They just have to go get a new body. Or if they find getting a body is harmful, then they stop and then they don't have to be reborn. Release this one too. Thank you, Ajahn. Correct, it is noon here in LA. And very nice to hear the recommendation. We'll certainly reach out. Yes. Okay. From Kenny Hunt. Ajahn, a question about right concentration. Sometimes in work I can focus on a technical problem for 4 or 5 hours without distraction, then feel quite calm. Is this considered right concentration? Yes, this can be considered right concentration on the lower level. I think in the past we are talking about appana samadhi for the right concentration. We have to be in the fourth jhana and remain in the fourth jhana for a long time. Then this is considered to be right concentration. There's another type of samadhi called upajjhara samadhi. This is considered not to be right concentration because it doesn't remain in equanimity or in calm or stillness. This type of samadhi, upajjhara samadhi, is the one that go out and contact other spiritual beings, being able to recollect past lives or have psychic powers. The Buddha said this is not the right concentration for vipassana and for vimutti, for the cessation of suffering. So if you have this type of samadhi, upajjhara samadhi, you should avoid it. Bring the mind back into appana samadhi. Upajjhara samadhi happens after you have appama, appana samadhi, but doesn't remain still. It goes out and contact other spiritual beings, or read the mind of other people. They just become naughty and playful, but it's not good for building the strength for the mind. Doesn't build any equanimity. So you want to stop your upajjhara samadhi and bring it back into Appana Samadhi. Kanika Appana. Okay. Sometimes I forget my Pali word. I'm sorry if I didn't say it correctly. Lily Siswanto. Sorry, I meant to say during meditation. Then you must, you can use any point to focus your breath. Normally we focus the breath at the tip of the nose or at the middle of the chest, where you can feel the air coming in and going out. From Daniel Pistolas. Ajahn, recently I found out that if there is wanting or dislike in the meditation, this can be traced back to a sense contact. If I then am mindful of this contact, it is very calming. For example, in the meditation I had flashbacks of images of a scary situation from the same day. I saw that this dislike was born of the sense contact with the eye. Then the dislike faded. It is correct practice. Thank you very much. Yes, as soon as you have mindfulness, then you stop the mind from creating this flashback. Then the mind comes back to normality. So whenever whatever you come to face with, you should use your mindfulness to bring your mind back to normality, to sensibility, or to calm. Don't follow the images that arises. It can distract your mind and cause you emotional problems. So use mindfulness to bring the mind back to peace and calm, such as reciting a mantra. If your mind is restless or involved with some emotional issues, keep reciting Bhutto, 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 and then your mind will become calm and peaceful. From Czech Ling Tan. Good morning, Ajahn. Sorry came in a bit late today, or 33 minutes late. That's okay, because I didn't let you know ahead of time when I'm starting the meeting. You still have time to answer questions if you want, or you can just listen to other people's questions and answers. From Lily Siswanto, sorry Ajahn for the confusing question. I have moved to desktop. So the question was the focus point during meditation. My friend focused on the forehead between eyebrows. This is correct. Well, if she can focus and stay there and prevent her mind from thinking, it's okay also. You can focus on any point, on anything really, as long as you can stop your mind from thinking. The purpose of focusing is to stop your mind from thinking about other things. And just be focused on just the one object that you are focusing on. Before he was able to reach tranquility with this focus, but recently he can replicate and felt that the whole head was very heavy. So maybe it's not a good point of focus. I think he should use the tip of the nose and focus on the breath, because it will always be there. That's where the breath enters and leaves the body, at the tip of the nose. So maybe he should start over by using the tip of the nose as the point of focus of the breath. And every time he can always use it because it's always there. From Czech Ling Tan, dear Ajahn, can you please help clear my doubt around this? Why some cultivators are capable of extreme evil acts like Devadatta, who has achieved jhana. Isn't it true that you will have to have very low hindrances in order to do that? See, jhana doesn't stop the cause of your bad or evil action. The cause of your evil or bad action is from moha or delusion. Delusion can make you think that what you do is right. Like Devadatta, he thought that the Buddha was old and he should be replaced by someone younger like him. So he actually was thinking good. He thinks that he wants to help the Sangha by being the leader of the Sangha. But this is delusional because he himself hasn't yet become enlightened. He hasn't yet become an arahant. So how he can become the leader of the Sangha? And also is his desire to be big, to be the leader, which is defilement. But he doesn't see this because he has no wisdom. He only has jhana. And with jhana doesn't distinguish between delusion and truth. Jhana cannot distinguish the truth from delusion. You need to have wisdom to be able to see, to distinguish delusion from the truth. So you have to be very careful. Like I said, especially when you got psychic powers like Devadatta, you might think that you are supreme, but in reality the psychic power is useless as far as the weapon for eliminating the defilements. You need to develop vipassana. You need to see anicca, dukkha, anatta. So you have to be very careful if you achieve any jhana or any type of samadhi. You have to know that your delusion is too strong, and you always have to watch your cravings and try to curb them, try to suppress them or eliminate them, because they are your enemy. They will cause you a lot of dukkha. They will lead you in the wrong direction. How come we can still be so angry at the Buddha and have so much hatred? That's because he had no equanimity, has no wisdom. And when he's not mindful, then he can be overwhelmed by his defilement. Also the Mara, who are in the highest sensual Deva realm. And Devas are Deva because of their higher developed mind and metta. Mara is not a Deva. Mara is the personification of ego. There's no real individual person or being. Mara is just a personification of ego. Mara is not in the Deva realm. Why is he so opposed to the Buddha? Because he was jealous of the Buddha. They were cousins before. And once he had achieved psychic power, he thought he was more superior than to the Buddha. So he doesn't want to be second, he wants to be first. It's scary to see that one's inner anger and defilement could be so strong, even with such high cultivation. Yes, your anger, defilement arises from your delusion, your desire to make yourself great, to make yourself better than other people. So you have to be very careful about your desire. to be somebody or something. You should know right away that this is defilement. With Dhamma, you don't want to be anything. You are content to be yourself. You're happy inside, so you don't need anything to make you happy from outside. So you don't need to be big, you don't have to be rich or anything like that. If we are not enlightened, are we subject to become this way? And how can we prevent this? The Buddha said we have to learn to be humble, to consider ourselves to be nobody, to stop our delusion of thinking great things about ourselves. If we are not enlightened, and no matter what we become, even become president or king, we are still nothing in comparing to being a noble person, being an enlightened person, because we are still subjected to dukkha, and we are still subjected to the rounds of rebirth. So try to be humble. Think yourself as a servant, as someone on the lowest rung of society, of the pecking order. Don't think yourself as being important or big, because this is delusional. Because in reality, there's no self in the first place. We are just the spiritual being with the knowing capabilities and perception capabilities and the capability to feel. That's all, and we are all the same. We are spiritual beings. So all we have to do is our true role is just to be aware, to know, to feel, and just don't react to anything. Our role is to keep our mind calm and contented. Once the mind becomes calm and contented, then it doesn't need to be anything. Okay. From Sami Viachi. Yesterday my neighbor shouted at me and disrespected me, and I found myself talking strongly back to him and putting him in his place. I feel if I don't do like that, my neighbor will take it as a sign of weakness and will try to walk all over me. But the Buddha always tells us not to react. How to reconcile this situation? Oh, it's easy. You just have to accept that this is part of our existence. We will meet people who will praise us, and sometimes we will look at people who will criticize us or disrespect us. This is part of life. So don't take it seriously. You have to take the two sides of life, the up and the down, the positive and the negative, the good and the bad. If you understand this is such the way it is with life, then you don't have to react. You can avoid. See, if you run into people who is bad, avoid them. Or don't try to associate with or stay near them. If you have to stay near them, just try to remain calm and not reacting. They will eventually stop bothering you. But should you be unlucky and be hurt by them, then you have to accept that this is the consequence of your past bad karma. So this is how we have to think. The Buddha said you have to think like this. If they don't like you, then you should be thankful that they didn't say anything bad to you. If they say anything bad to you, you should be thankful that they didn't hurt you physically, harm you physically. And if they should harm you or hurt you physically, you still should be thankful that they didn't kill you yet. And if they kill you, then you say, well, that's the way life is. Eventually we all gonna have to die. If you can think like this, then you will not react or get mad at the person who's hurting you or harming you. You just accept it. This is part of the way of our existence. part of life. From Phoebe Stan, good morning, dear Venerable Ajahn. Yesterday I cut my finger deeply due to lack of mindfulness. At first it felt very painful, but when I remembered to be mindful, the pain disappeared. Why is that? Because the pain appears in your mind, see, and is created by your mind. There are two types of pain that happen: the physical pain and the mental pain. When you become mindful, then you stop your mind from creating mental pain. So all that is left is just the physical pain, which is minimal when compared to the mental pain. My other question is, when life feels good and things are going my way, it feels easy to be happy and content, and to be calmer in meditation. Yet I know that's not good because I have like and dislike. What can I do to progress from this? You should keep practicing meditation and get a good feeling from meditation because it's more stable and more reliable once you know how to do it. Because if you let things around you makes you feel good, when they disappear, then you can feel bad again. So stop relying on things around you to make you feel good, and start relying on meditation to make you feel good. Because once you can feel good from doing meditation, you can always do it. Every time you want to feel good, then you just meditate. And you can always have it anytime, anywhere you want to have. But if you rely on other things to make you happy, sometimes you cannot summon them to bring you that happiness, that good feeling. So you have to switch the method of feeling good. But instead of relying on your environment, on people, on things, you should rely on your meditation to make you feel good. From Daniel Pistolas, can Ajahn explain his understanding of dependent origination? Dependent origination is a roadmap or a diagram of how the mind works, how the unenlightened mind works. It starts with delusion or ignorance, avijja. Avijja is the one that doesn't know that where true happiness is. So it thinks that true happiness is in the sensual realm, in the sensual object. So it directs sankhara to go out toward the sensual organs through vijnana. Vijnana is the connector between the spiritual beings and the body. So in order for the spiritual being to access the essential object, it has to go through vijnana. Vijnana that connects to the sensual organs such as the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Once vijnana is connected to the sensual organ, then there can be contact between the sensual organs and the sensual objects. After there is contact, then there is feeling of good or bad feelings. And after that, when there is good or bad feeling, there is desire. If it's good feeling, you want to acquire them, possess them. If there are bad feelings, you want to get rid of them. By have desiring, then you're creating dukkha. And also your desire to change the situation around you. So you move from one object to the next. This is power of becoming. And if the body dies, then this mind that is still being driven by this desire will go get a new body. You have rebirth again. So this is how it works. It's starting from avijja, your ignorance of the true happiness. You don't know that true happiness is within your mind. You don't have to send your mind outside to look for happiness. Once you learn this from the Buddha or his noble disciple, then you reverse the process. Instead of sending your mind outside, you try to bring it in by mindfulness or meditation. And when your mind can remain inside and calm, it can become happy and peaceful. Then you know that this is where you want to keep your mind at. It's inside, not outside, not going after the sensual objects, people or things. You want to pull your mind back inside, into samadhi, into calm, into equanimity. That's where happiness and contentment is. Okay? From Lily Siswanto. For myself, during meditation, I have been feeling heavy at my chest, and I felt difficulty to soften the breath. First of all, you don't have to soften the breath. You're not supposed to do anything to the breath except watching it. If the breath is hard or soft, just let it be, leave it alone. This is not the purpose of correcting your breath. Our purpose is to just keep watching the breath to prevent the mind from thinking about other things. That's all. We want to use concentration to stop our thoughts. If we concentrate on something, then we cannot think about other things. Okay? So don't worry about what kind of breath you have, short or long, soft or hard. This is no problem for meditators. For us, we just keep watching the breath. We don't have to try to fix the breath. I felt difficulty to soften the breath because I still feel that my breath needs to fill the chest. Yeah, just leave the breath alone. Don't let your feeling dictate what you should do. Just keep watching the breath, because you've been breathing from the time you're born until now. So the breath can handle itself. You don't have to worry about it. Okay? It only happens when you keep watching the breath and you become concerned with the breath. But most of the time when you're doing something else, you don't care how your breath is like. You know that it's okay. Yeah. So when you're watching the breath, just treat it like when you're not watching it. Just leave it alone. No harm will happen to you. What does soft breath feel like? You have to experience it. When the mind becomes calmer, then the breath becomes softer. I also have another challenge. I feel the accumulation of saliva in my mouth and need to swallow. It's the same thing, you should ignore it. Just keep focusing on the breath. Leave the swallow alone. Leave the saliva alone. You don't have to swallow it. Because if you swallow, you will have to keep swallowing it. And then you will not be concentrating on your breath. Just forget about the saliva. If it should overflow through your mouth, let it be. Don't worry, it doesn't. It's only when you pay attention to it. So keep focusing on your breath. If you can't, then maybe you should start with chanting first. Chanting or reciting the mantra. So that you're busy chanting and you forget about your saliva. Thank you, Ajahn. Much appreciate you and your effort to continue teaching. We are all very fortunate. From Sammy Riashi, me Bante, you look sleepy and tired. Please take rest. It's okay. I'm not that tired. Because I think spending 1 hour with you is worthwhile. I think I see there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered or clarified. But I'll soon be sleeping again. I have about 5 minutes left with this meeting. So if you have any questions, please type them in now. Because when we reach the 1 hour mark, I will have to ask you to stop sending in the question. From Spring KL, Hi Ajahn, my friend recommended that I study Dzogchen Buddhism, which I found some YouTube videos for beginners that were quite helpful. Some of the videos helped my mind open up with brightness of mind. Sometimes the brightness is quite similar to as if someone had shone a bright white light in my mind. When I rewatch the YouTube, I get that experience each and every time. Am I on the right path? No, because it's not the bright light that you look at, you go after. What you're after is calm and emptiness. Because bright light is temporary, is impermanent. And when you don't get bright light, you might become disappointed or sad. So this is not the path. The path is to make the mind empty, peaceful and happy by focusing on a meditation object such as your breath or a mantra. Then it will become empty, peaceful and happy. You don't need to have any bright light in your meditation. Sometimes you do have it, you have to ignore it. Don't pay any attention. Keep focusing on your breath or on your mantra in order for your mind to become empty, peaceful and calm. If not, can you please provide advice on how to progress? I just did. Thank you for your advice. From Phoebe Sang, Venerable Ajahn, this is a follow-up question to Check's question about practitioners who have jhana but don't know the difference between truth and delusion. One of my jobs is to do psychic readings. I do not actively try to cultivate psychic abilities. I only want to purify the mind and practice Dhamma. My intention when doing reading is to say what is beneficial, truthful, and compassionate. I also ask my guardian devas to protect me from harm. I know that I don't have enough wisdom to really help people. Is it okay to keep doing this work? And what can I do to prevent myself from going down the wrong path and staying on the Dhamma path? Well, if you really don't have enough wisdom to really help people, then maybe you should stop right now and concentrate on developing wisdom first. Help yourself first. Help yourself to get rid of your defilements and your delusion first, before you can truly help other people. You have to look at the Buddha and his noble disciples, for example. They didn't teach anybody before they became enlightened. They kept practicing, developing sila, samadhi, and panya until they became fully enlightened. And only after that then did they start to help other people by teaching them the truth and how to develop wisdom in order for them to see the truth. Yes, I think you should look at the Buddha and his noble disciple as example on how you should move along the path. From Czech, Ling Tan, thank you so much, Ajahn, for clearing my doubt. I was confused when I read that Mara is in the devil realm, and your explanation about delusion makes me understand further why the Buddha said that delusion causes most harm to us, and is also the hardest to uproot. Yes, you need to have continuous mindfulness and wisdom, Mahasati and Mahapanya, before you can really deal with delusion. Otherwise, you can only deal with the delusion's disciple, namely greed, and hatred. It's easier to see greed and hatred, but it's very hard to see delusion. You have to develop to the level of an anagami before you can tackle delusion. Otherwise, you have to tackle the cravings first. The craving, the greed, the lust, and the hatred. From Alfredo Vilela, hi Bante. Hi, how are you, Alfredo? From Christine Jolie, please tell Ajahn, how do you translate Atapi Sampajalo Satima? I really don't know because I didn't study any Pali. Most of the Dhamma I learn in the English language. So if you don't understand it, don't worry about it, because Pali is an ancient language. It's only for Pali scholars. For practitioner, we just use our present language, English or whatever your nationality is. Use the kind of language that you understand, better than reading something that you don't understand. So forget about Pali. You don't need to learn Pali to become enlightened. You just need to know what sila is, what samadhi is, what panya is. That's all you need to know. Okay, we have reached the 1 hour and 2 minutes into our meeting now. So regretfully will have to ask you to stop sending any new questions. If you are typing them, you can still type and send them in. But if you haven't yet started typing any question, I have to ask you to stop, because I will have to terminate this meeting pretty soon as I finish answering all the remaining questions. Matt Bruce and Ajahn, I'm from Denmark. Welcome to our meeting room. From Phoebe Sang, thank you for your answer, Ajahn. It is hard to let go of the psychic job because it is my only job now during the pandemic. But I can try and make a plan to replace it. Thank you very much. From Antonio Dutra, Ajahn, do you recommend to contemplation of the body, although we don't have a strong mindfulness? If you can contemplate on the body, it's okay. The problem is you might not be able to contemplate for long, because your defilement will hijack your contemplation and take you to some other thing. So if you don't have strong mindfulness, I would recommend develop strong mindfulness first and develop jhana as a consequence of your strong mindfulness. Then you will be able to contemplate on the body for a long period of time and not be hijacked by your defilements. But if you want to contemplate the body, it's okay. If you contemplate it as being anicca, dukkha, anatta, it's okay. Or being asubha, okay. Or being no self, okay, if you can do it. But if you cannot do it, then you have to come back to developing mindfulness and samadhi first. Matt Dawson, dear Ajahn, thank you for your time. Daniel Pistolas, Ajahn, can a Sotapanna be afraid of injury or worse? No, he's not afraid of sickness or death, because he has discovered that the body isn't him. He is a spiritual being that using the body to satisfy its cravings. But it knows that the body is temporary. It is subjected to aging, sickness, and death. So it doesn't worry about the body or feel painful with the body when the body becomes painful. From Nirosha, your teaching are truly beneficial and fit to what I practice. Mahasathu, may you do well always. Namaskar. From Antonio Dutra, thank you, Ajahn. From Savika Borata, ขอบคุณมากค่ะ Okay. I think that's all the questions. And thank you very much for your participation. Here's another comment from Czech Lintan. Much respect, gratitude, and love to you, Ajahn, for giving your time and energy to teach us relentlessly. You're welcome, and I hope they are beneficial to you. and make you advance in your practice. From Kenny Hunt, thank you. Christine Jolie, respect. Okay, thank you very much for participating in this meeting. I hope they can help you to advance in your practice. And if you have any more questions, please wait for my next meeting. And in the meantime, keep on practicing and don't give up. Don't be discouraged. If you are discouraged, just know it's Avijja. It comes and goes. Don't give up. You might want to take a rest or take a pause. Okay, but don't give up. When you feel stronger and more energized, then you can pick up your practice again. Okay, thank you very much and goodbye for now.